Hey, you guys. I'm going to give it at least a minute or two to see if anybody's going to join in. Woo! First of all, I've had like such a long day. I do a lot, you guys, in my day to day. I really do. I really do. I used to do YouTube full time, but I don't anymore. I haven't for quite some time, actually. And I work a corporate job. And I work like 75 hours a week, I tell you, on top of taking care of my kids. Good evening, Deacon Fatal. Hopefully you guys can hear me pretty well. I'm using my laptop microphone when I usually have an external microphone that I use to do these. So this is a little bit of a sound check. Let me know if you're having a hard time. It is a lot, but I have a very big goal that I'm trying to accomplish this summer. So I'm going a little bit harder. And honestly, there's a bottomless pit of work. I work in finance, and there's lots to do, honestly. Lots to do. Good evening, always blessed. And it's so good to see everybody. This is a really important live chat that I'm going to be doing with you guys. I mean, of course, we can think about specifics, but I mean, general things, but I'm going to go into some specifics. But before I do, I see that a lot of you checked out the twins' birthday party. I was like, oh, you guys took a peekaboo. We had such a good time. And I was so exhausted, though, afterwards. I legit needed like a week off after that party. I didn't have a party planner or anything like that. My family thinks I should become a party planner because I do like doing that type of thing. But it was fun, but I don't know if I could do it professionally. It's like, I don't know. But I had a good time, and it came out beautiful. And I did upload the video. It was the last thing that I told you guys about when I was pumping out content. So I know most of the people on my channel have experienced toxic relationships and have gotten caught up in, a vicious cycle, more than one round, basically, of the toxic relationships, whether it was romantic or with a family member. So I wanted to provide this video to, help you guys in your self-awareness. This is a great time to be honest with yourself. If you may be in a current situation, or you're retrospecting on past experiences, and you're trying to just level up psychologically to be a better version of yourself. Chances are, if you were in these situations, that these things were at play. Maybe all of them, and definitely some of them, or many of them, if we just be honest and real with ourselves. And I'm hoping that maybe there are some things on this list that haven't occurred to you, that, some self-awareness can be brought to it, so that moving forward, you could be mindful about this aspect of yourself. And that's why, my channel is called Reflection and Progression. I like for you guys to reflect on things so that you can progress, not stay stuck in the past, not, drag all this baggage with you, but, to become a better person. All right. So let me just look at the comments before we jump in here. Aw, well, I'm so glad, Vera, that you were able to finally catch me. Live chats are fun. They're great times for you to be very interactive with me. You can ask me any questions. I do still provide coaching, and just understand, if you ask me a question on this forum, which you're completely welcome to do, I'm going to answer it in front of everyone. So if you're not bashful about that, I'm definitely here for you guys during live chats. Yeah, working in finance, but you know what? I'm a numbers person, so I actually enjoy the chaos. No, no, no. I didn't have twins, sweetie, but the twins turned 5 years old, basically. They had their fifth birthday January 17th, but we had a party a couple of days before. We rented out a Chuck E. Cheese. It's the last upload that I have. It's some raw footage of the birthday party. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, it has been almost 6 minutes. Hopefully, that has been enough time for you guys to get notifications. It is. It is a lot. It is. And that's why it's been, 3 weeks since I've done an upload, because I do that and a lot of stuff. They have like activities they do during the week. So I'm like I'm like soccer mom mode, basically. Oh, no worries. No worry. There's no forgive me necessary. No forgive me necessary here. All right. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get into the topic here. Why some women, and this is another thing that I'll say to my male audience. I'm saying women here because I know that most of the people on my channel are female, but I am growing in my male numbers as well. Many of these things, and I want to say all of them, are not gender specific, so to speak. One of the things that I may get into may have something that may be more in feminine energy than masculine, but honestly, even if you are a woman, you could be doing these things as well. Okay. So I'll just say that. But I do know that my audience is mainly female. So I'll just say that. Hey, Tracy from Texas. Deacon said she didn't have kids and a cat is enough. Okay, I understand. I've had 6 kids in my life, so I understand. Someone has a question here. What can you do when people ask you questions you don't want to answer? You can respectfully decline. You don't have to divulge information that you don't want to talk about. We have free will to open or close our mouth. So I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to get into that. Oh, that's personal or private to me. That's some type of tactic. You can delay it. Oh, let me get back to you and never get back to them. Hey, there's a lot of ways to, brush people off with that type of thing. All right. But all right, we're going to go ahead and get into the topic here. Hopefully that helped you, Zanilla. All right. Yeah. A lot of people wonder, why would someone stay in an abusive situation? Yeah, let's get into it, you guys. And I'll make another disclaimer here. Anyone can attract an abusive person, no matter how high you're vibrating. You can attract an abusive person. But, a healthier person that's walking in their self-love, obviously, they're not going to stay in a situation. It's one thing for them to attract to you, because once you're glowing and glittery, you've done the self-work, you have a happy life, everyone's going to want a piece of you, whether they're good or bad. You know what I mean? You just have to be able to decipher people. So we're talking about people that not only keep attracting it, but they're picking these people, and they're getting in bed with them figuratively and literally, or they're staying in these situations way longer than they should have, if you will. So let's talk about the psychological blockages that are going on here. And a lot of these are going to run into each other. They're going to be a lot connected here. You'll start realizing that. But the number one thing that I have on here, you guys, of why women attract and pick or stay with these users and abusers is because of unhealed past traumas. Number one, when you have unhealed past traumas, there's an energy or an aura that you're sending out right off the rip. And, you might hear these words called vibrations, or it's how you're existing, because that trauma is still very much a large part of who you are. So it's going to be a large part of your journey as far as God is concerned too. It is, because he wants you to heal these things, honestly. And you'll be in these situations, and they're going to keep playing out as to give you opportunities, honestly, to heal it if you can peep what's going on. There's something that you haven't healed about yourself, or there's something you haven't worked on the way that you go about these relationships. But I'm going to primarily say there's unhealed past traumas here. And that's why when you get in these romantic situations, or you befriend someone, or if you just feel like, dang, even my boss seems to have this energy where they're not respecting me. And it's like this running theme everywhere that you're turning around in your life. There's some unhealed past traumas, chances are, that need to be worked through at that point, and you're going into same or similar scenarios with just different names and faces. And if these things are left unchecked, it becomes very dangerous, honestly, because God really does want you to get the point and, for your journey. And what's going to happen is, if this is left unchecked, you're going to be further trauma bonded to the trauma itself, okay? And it becomes a deeper issue in your life. And that means you need a bigger situation, a rougher, harsher experience sometimes to jolt you. Because once you've gone through these traumas over and over, quite often, it's so rooted inside of you that you might become a little bit numb. It might become a little bit more normalized to you. Just think about it. The first time, if you were ever in a situation when someone put their hands on you, the first time they did it was probably the most alarming time. But, let's say you go through these cycles. This person is bringing you roses, apologizing, breaking you down to a certain point where they're going to get you to have a certain type of trust or hope in them. And you keep coming back. Now, the 20th time that the person hits you, hits that person, do you think that they're as traumatized by it necessarily? It's become more of a habit. And then that means something is, sinking into your subconscious. So, yeah, those unhealed past traumas are really a big deal, you guys. I've had so many coaching sessions, and so many people like, this person reminds me of my father. This person reminds me of my mother, or the primary caretaker, the original person who might have, did the original trauma that the person needs to work through, so that energetically they're not seeking out these experiences to heal it. All right. So that's a big one right there. If you have things that, you don't really want to face or deal with, chances are subconsciously you're going to be dealing with them anyway, whether you want to or not. And it's much better to just get your healing in these traumas. Okay, I had a little sub note here for this part before I jump into number 2. Once you're these unhealed past traumas are just dominating you energetically and subconsciously, you're going to be operating out of it. And this kind of reminds me of that In Vogue song, Free Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow. Yeah, it's very true, you guys. And just like abusers know, if they can get your mind, the rest will follow. That's what makes, the manipulation and everything so powerful for them. Once they, have your mind in the palm of their hands, they feel like they can get you to do anything else. And they're kind of correct at that point. It's not because they were having, in a romantic relationship, all this great sex with you. No, they got in your head in some type of way. And that psychological stuff is a lot more powerful than any other thing. Okay. Which leads me to number 2 reason, you guys, why a lot of women attract users and abusers and stay with them, gullibility, or being gullible. Or we can, on this channel, we call it emotional immaturity. Like a lot of times it might be out of your ignorance, This is someone who may not recognize the game. You hear people say, oh, game recognized game. But if you don't really know that the game is being played on you, you're really at an unfair advantage. And furthermore, just not understanding manipulation, if you will, are living by outdated rules and concepts. Therefore, you're basically continuing trying to play fair with unfair characters. And when I use the word fair in this instance, I mean to their advantage, to their favor. When we're not in Disneyland, right? And even Disneyland has rules, okay? So, gullibility goes really far. Like sometimes it'd be like, you went through this situation in your childhood, and then the person you're dating in high school, or this person got you young and you got married young, you started having these kids young, all of these things before you're even, oh, really? There's no sound? Can you hear me now? I didn't mute anything. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Somebody said there's no sound. Okay, obviously someone can hear. Okay. Because I'm like, no, I didn't hit any mute. I'm like, I'm talking, but great. Thank you, Tracy Lee and Mary Mundy. So the gullibility is just maybe someone subject to a love scam, basically. The love bomb, not fact checking. So if people tell you I'm this, I'm that, you're going to generally believe someone and give them the benefit of the doubt. If someone says I'm sorry and they make it sound convincing enough, it's like, okay. And then, the gullibility part is you believing because you want it to be true, or you're believing because you're holding on to some sort of hope, right? And that backfires because if you're basically running off of emotions and not being based off of facts, and you guys know how I feel about that for those of you who've been around the channel. And there's a difference between someone presenting better versus actually being better. And manipulative people are really good at that. They're like, oh, okay, I got to present better to this person to be more convincing. But they're just presenting better. On the inside, they haven't really changed their feelings. They haven't had a shift. They're not really being sincere, but they're giving you a more convincing, actions behind it, whether they're really meaning it or they're just doing what they need to be doing. So we have to know the difference between presenting better versus actually being a better person. And that gullibility needs to help you understand nature versus nurturing. The nature aspect of us says that it's survival of the fittest and that we're supposed to be wanting to survive, not always giving ourselves the short end of the stick. That's that nurture part. Oh, I love you. I put you first and this and that. All right. So yet again, logic versus emotions. Yes, emotionally, I care a lot for this person, but logically, what makes sense moving forward based off of the sheer facts of this whole situation? All right. And the thing about this, and this is going to run into my number 3, your survival instincts are just out of whack at this point. And, that's a part of a victim mentality or someone who has been in victim energy for too long. Your survival instincts are just kind of out of whack. And that's when you're not giving that voice inside of you. Is not as loud as it used to be, if you can even hear it at all. Some people say, I lost touch with myself, in their gut and their instincts. And when you're running off of hope and emotions, you're going to do what? You're going to give too many chances. You're going to give too many chances. And that's number 3. Why are women with users and abusers? They give too many chances. And yes, there's a trauma bond, that's helping them reinforce these traumas. And sometimes it might take you hitting a rock bottom, which is even more devastating, because just think of what may need to happen for the typical person to hit a rock bottom. And I won't say typical person, but a toxic person that's not, healed. Hitting rock bottom is going to add so much more residual things that you're going to have to work through at that point than if you had just took those early warning signs, cut your losses, earlier on. And the too many chances, we're going to put that also with making excuses for poor behaviors and meshing with people and blaming yourself or taking accountability for other people's behaviors. Yeah. And the thing about it is, the longer you stay into these situations, the more psychological damage you're actually causing from yourself that you're going to have to then, work through. All right. And that leads me to number 4, you guys, waiting for others to give you your healing or your closure or your justice, waiting for others to make things right for you. And you're basically disempowering yourself at that time and expecting your enemy to rescue you. And in a healthy mind, you can see where that makes no sense. Number one, you're my enemy. Why am I expecting you to now come in and give me all these closures and rescue me from feeling bad by telling me you never meant it or that you're sorry for doing this, So waiting for others is just, yet again, just giving people too much control over your journey at that point. And when you're disconnected from yourself, you're used to giving others the driver's seat, in your life anyway. And all it's doing at that point is reinforcing those inner childhood wounds. So that's definitely another reason why women are staying with users, and because they're waiting for this day that's just not going to be coming, you guys. That day is not going to come. And if it does, chances are going to be this love bomb, right? This love bomb. So I wanted to, I know we done jumped down to number 4, but I want to just go back to that emotional maturity. This whole video is talking about emotional maturity, but my number 2 with the gullibility and emotional maturity, I just want to hop back in there just for a second, because that's like a really heavy section. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't grazing over thoughts there. Because, we do a lot of things out of our ignorance, and some people may be offended by the word ignorance, and it just simply means not knowing any better, But when I talk about the gullibility, I also want to address shallow things with this, as far as people going off of looks. When you're just a person that goes off of looks, you'll fall for some illusions real quick. And we know that people like narcissists, that's what they try to be a master of, illusions. They want to make things appear a certain way, and they're pretty good. Any professional will tell you. A narcissist is generally really good at first impressions. Now, the 100th impression, we know they're not consistent. So that's the good thing about not jumping the gun on situations. But when people are gullible, they're going to jump the gun right when things look good right off the rip. Now, if you hang around a channel like this, you should absolutely know better than that. Every relationship goes through a honeymoon phase, point blank, period. Usually, you know what I mean? So you can't just, everything that glitters is not gold. And you really have to understand that. And a part of the emotional immaturity that I wanted to also point out in this section is being a poor communicator. And I know that some of you are going to be like, wait a minute, I'm an excellent communicator. Well, let's consider the source of what we're talking about here. We're talking about women who attract users and abusers, and they pick them and they stay in these situations. Those women are actually poor communicators to me, and they're poor at communication. You know why? Because they're not picking up these clues and signals, and they're not giving things the proper weight. Most of communication, what do they say, like 97% of it is nonverbal. A lot of times in these situations, you're holding on by what someone is saying to you verbally versus watching their behaviors, or you're giving them a pass because they're saying the right thing, even though they're doing the wrong things. So to me, that makes a person a poor communicator, because you're not really taking advantage of all of the other communication signals that are being sent to you to help you make informed decisions to keep you safe and protected, right? So that's really important, you guys. And if you're not picking up on the clues, and then a lot of times there may be issues with stating it. This may be a person that doesn't know how to give themselves a voice because, maybe someone told you a while ago that you should just shut up. You should be thankful that someone's giving you the time of the day, or, there's this inferiority thing due to low self-esteem. And we'll talk about that a little bit down the line here. But not being able to properly even state your boundaries and your standards, or hesitating to do so, that people start running all over you like a doormat. And this is typically what's happening in these situations. This person has been used to many people in their lives taking advantage of them. So it's a very familiar energy to accept in a romantic relationship, in a friendship, or wherever else, that they're tolerating this. So setting expectations might seem weird. You can't just be going with the flow. No, learn not to go with the flow. Like, no, I have an expectation. Your time is something you can never give back. You give somebody some of your time, you're giving them something. That's something you can never get back. Money and stuff, you can get it back, not time. Not time, you guys. So another aspect of this gullibility and emotional immaturity is not properly valuing things. So, and that's just based off of what you're placing value on, right? And what lens are you looking through? But obviously, if we're this traumatized, person who haven't found their healing, the lens is not clear. And chances are you're being brainwashed somewhere in there. So, this is going to have you being like committing to craziness. Basically, you're basically committed to craziness. You're committed to dysfunction, but you're not being committed in these moments to things that are actually going to uplift you and empower you, right? It's just things that is fueling the very thing that you need to be healing, So that's a big deal, you guys. This channel has tons of videos on emotional maturity. You got to get that, especially in 2022. Like, this is not the world. You could be sweet and nice all day long. It doesn't mean that you can't, but you need to know better as well. You need to be able to peep the game. You need to be able to see angles, see things coming from 1,000 steps, like be ahead of people sometime, all the time. Shoot. All right. So, yeah. So we talked about the gullibility, the emotional immaturity. We talked about giving people too many chances, which reinforces those traumas, and it just makes it more deep rooted inside of you. And it's like, you have to know when to stack and when to fold. You have to, that's a skill. That's the skill. How many times have you been in a situation like, damn, like I wish I had just dropped it right there. I wish I had cut my losses right there. I have a motivational playlist, you guys, and it's called Cut Your Losses. It's like the first video, I think, on there. Or is it the second one? It's a motivational playlist for days when you're having a hard time getting out of bed. You feel like you might be getting swallowed by depression, or, you're just having a rough day or a rough moment. It's a good playlist, has like 45 videos, uplifting videos that I've made to, give you some positive energy, because that's exactly what you need in those moments. But you got to know, you guys, when to stack and when to fold. You don't want to be in situations where you're going down with a sunken ship, because I hear it all the time, and it's really sad. There's another channel that I watch, and I love the work that she does, Leandra TV. And I watch her channel for several reasons, and I don't even really promote other people's work, but I'm going to just give her credit right here. She follows stories, and some of you may know of her channel already. She follows a lot of stories of women in violence, and particularly African-American women, because it's so many being harmed by their loved ones. And I'm more than harmed, murdered. Okay, I'm being really rated G when I say it that way. And because I do deal with a lot of people with traumas and abuse, I watch her channel a lot. It keeps me in the loop of what's going on and all types of stuff. But it could save your life, you guys, knowing when to stack and when to fold, All right. And we talked about number 4, waiting for others to give you healing, waiting for others to give you closure and justice. And particularly when I say others, you're waiting for the abuser, right? Because we're talking about the users and the abusers here, to rescue you by basically telling you that they're sorry in this heartfelt day where they realized how great you were and how they shouldn't have took advantage of you and all the collaterals and harm and hurt that they caused you. And they have this old light bulb moment. And don't hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. The best thing you can do is correct yourself. Don't worry about trying to correct them. Correct you. All right. And with that being said, we can go ahead on to number 5 here. And just so you know, I have 18 things here. Generally speaking, and within it is just so much more than that. Okay. So number 5, you guys, is looking for love in all the wrong places, right? And that's the thing. You're seeking love and validation in external places. And it's like trying to get the love you never had. And I have to say it like that because chances are in those situations, the people aren't already giving that love to themselves. See, it's a love that you've had once you're giving it to yourself minimally, right? That should be the minimum. Like, I love myself. So it should clearly be situations where like, I don't treat myself that way. I'm not going to be around other people that are treating me that way. But a lot of times if we're already neglecting ourselves, if we're already putting ourselves down, you know, and a lot of times it may be a person that has had a lot of verbal abuse, you know, who have been disappointed time after time after time. And usually it makes you feel very empty because you're not filling your own cup up. And when you're not filling your own cup up, you're just like, it's like a drug. You know, the trauma bond is a drug. You're looking for something to fill it up because it's a soothe. It's not a self-soothe, but it's an external soothe. There's something that gives you a false illusion of feeling happy or being better off than you are. And once you're doing that, chances are you're going against the natural flow of, you know, what's best for you on your journey. You're in a certain type of resistance at this point. And instead of, you know, facing your issues, you're forcing the toxic issues on you furthermore, you know. And that may be being in resistance of letting go of something that hurts you because, oh, the real issue is I don't know how to be by myself, for instance. You know, I'm not fulfilled in my life. This relationship, you know, talking to this person, spending time with this person is giving me an identity. And that's called codependency as well. All right. And then when we're chasing the wrong things, our priorities, they're just simply mixed up at this point. You know, the priority should be me being as centered as I should be, me being, can I check in with me? Am I okay? What do I need to embrace? I got to give myself a hug here, you know, especially if we're in habitual situations, you guys. All right. So if we're doing this, obviously number 6 is going to be in full effect, and that's the low self-esteem, low self-worth, and low self-value. And, you know, when you're coming to the table with this type of energy, this actually allows weak people to dominate over you and appear to be superior. And I'm going to have to word it that way because these abusers are definitely weak. But it's not until you get into your strength, probably, that you're going to be able to see that as clearly. It's like you're going to see just how small and weak they really are, which lets you know how weak-minded you had to been in that time. And when I say that, it's not to throw darts because, you know what, I've been in less than stellar situations where weak people had dominated over me in my past, okay? And then you make them the boogeyman, and that's what I mean by they even appear to be superior. And I'm just choosing my words like so carefully, you guys, because appear is all it is, because they're really not superior. And you're going to actually see where, wait a minute, I was superior to, you know, you were superior. And it's not, and I'm not that person that's like telling people to walk around on their high horse, so to speak. But let me tell you a truth. You are better than some people. You know, some people are like, no, you're not better than this. You're not better. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And that's why when you get healthy minded and centered, you can't hang around that anymore. Like, you don't even want to hang around that anymore. You're going to be extremely more discerning about people, and because you understand, like, I'm better than that. Yeah, everybody's at different levels. Yes, you are better. It just, I don't get people who are like that. Like, don't, that's another issue, being too humble. Being too humble. Everybody is not a free for all. Everyone can't come sit at your table. Everybody can't come along. And we're going to talk about that. That's like my last point for why people are staying in these situations. But yeah, when we're allowing weak people to dominate over us, we're doing number 7. We're too eager to please. We're too eager to please. So, they should have People Pleasers Anonymous, right? Yeah, this energy is definitely going to be prevalent here. But here's the thing about this. Too eager to please in the wrong direction. It's like, okay, you're giving liquid gold to people that it's like, casting your pearls before swine. That's exactly the best phrase for me to put. You're giving all this liquid gold. You're giving the best you have to give to people who don't even, they have a problem with valuation as well. Earlier I was talking about you're not putting the proper value on people, and that's because you're not seeing them for who you are. When we're talking about the gullibility, they're doing the same thing, but maybe for the opposite reason. It's for manipulation and control for them. They might, see your value, which is why they even want to mess with you to begin with. There's something that they want to get out of you. Okay? So they're seeing it, but they want to maintain this upper hand. So here's the thing about being too eager to please, you guys. It means you're going to over-volunteer yourself. You're going to over-volunteer yourself, and you're going to overextend your resources as well, okay? People might not even be asking you to do all of these things at times, but you're just, when you're not filling your own cup, you may be in an energy where you're getting your worth from being overly helpful to people. And I just had to say it that way because there's nothing wrong with being helpful to people, but you want to be helpful to the right people. Okay? Helpful to the right people. And I think I talk about this further down the chat, where here you are being so helpful to this person, and you're fueling them to betray you. You're giving them extra strength to strike against you at that point. You're helping your enemy at that point because you don't know, or it hasn't become like full circle to you that this is your enemy, right? So when you're in this give energy, and you might not even want to save the world. I'm not saying, some people are that extreme with it, but you're not saving the world. That's not how life works per se. But you're going to attract takers at this point. And let me tell you why. Because you're so much more concerned with giving and being accepted versus reciprocated. Okay? Yeah. That's basically what's going on. And then this is even more dangerous. These gestures that you are doing at first, you do them so many times that they become an obligation to you. It starts to feel like an obligation. And then that's how you get stuck, you guys, over giving to people. Because you were too eager to please from the rip, right? You start over volunteering, and maybe they ask for help. And then once they see that you're just this waterfall of endless help, like, you're going out of way, and you're hiding. Sometimes you might even hide because you're being so nice. You're hiding the fact that, you know what, this is draining me. This is my last. This really took a lot of effort and energy. You're trying to make it look easy. You're doing it with a smile on your face, and people are like, oh, she likes to, I bring all my problems over here. She's happy to do it, and then that's the poor communication part right there too. And it's overgiving and undervaluing as well, because you may not even be in a space in a relationship where they deserve that. For instance, like being a wife to your boyfriend. You don't have to prove you're worthy to be someone's wife in that manner. You don't have to conduct yourself going above and beyond before the person even put a ring on it. And, you don't have to do these things, but this happens when you feel like you have something to prove. And then you're basically telling a person you're the prize, but you can't buy love. And you may not even be trying to buy love, but that's how the other person is going to see it, honestly, in those situations. And then they may get, if they're a toxic person, because we're talking about abusers and users here, they'll feel like, well, I don't have to put as much effort into this person because they're treating me like the prize. They're at my beck and call. Okay. Yeah. And then the other person is just always on this pedestal. And you taught them that you were basically their servant, If you want to be a girlfriend or you want to be a friend, then just stay in that lane. Don't start being 20 things to one person, because then it just kind of, you got to understand, abusers and users, they're emotionally stunted too. They're emotionally immature as well, you guys. So it's like a toddler that you're dealing with, and it's a very toxic one. And you're enabling their toxic behaviors that much more, if you will. And then you're teaching them that you don't have any boundaries or limits around your efforts. And then they're not really earning this. It's like, a lot of times when people are in that energy, the ones that are attracting and staying with these abusers and users, is like, well, this is just how I am. And that's fine if you're like that, but know how to, when to unleash that on somebody. Understand how beautiful that is. Understand how valuable that is. Like, you can't just be running around. I mean, it's up to you, handing out like $100 bills all day to people. I mean, do you want to do that? Wow. It's just, you really have to know what you're bringing to the table. And when you undervalue yourself, you're not valuing the love and care and loyalty that you're giving to other people appropriately. It's like, that's a lot right there. That is a lot right there that you're giving someone. So just, that's a lot. You can't just lay that. You definitely can't lay that on an abuser and a user. And that's the topic of today. So I'm just going to have to stick with that energy. All right, you guys. So let's go. That was number 8, about the person being on a pedestal, by the way. Number 9, you're not fully protecting yourself. All right. So if at all, I'm going to have to just say that, if at all. And that's the thing. When you leave yourself vulnerable like that, remember like the Red Riding Hood, or which freaking fairy tale was it where they built the house on the straw? The 3 Little Pigs. There we go. And I think one did the bricks, and I forgot. Oh, the sticks. Maybe it was straw, sticks, and bricks. But the person who had the brick house, obviously, they were the ones who were fully protecting themselves enough. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing about the healing process. And I think a lot of people don't focus on this when they're teaching people about healing themselves. Yes, you have to heal it, but then you have to shield. What is the point of healing through something and not shielding yourself? You have to shield, or else you'll get the same wound or another one or a worse one. And you're going to have to you're just in this constant phase of healing because you have not shielded. Okay. So that means, the standards and the boundaries and the way that you conduct yourself, the access that you're allowing people in, taking the lessons and making a shift. There's no point in realizing you should have done something and then not acting on that moving forward. You know what I mean? So fully protect yourself. Fully protect yourself, you guys. I'm just trying to read, because I done scribbled so many things. I'm just trying to read the rest of this number 9 to see if I'm missing. What is this that I wrote here? Yeah. And, a part of protecting yourself is knowing what your best interest is and understanding what other people's agendas might be, at least considering it, good or bad. I'm not saying that everybody's out for you, but we are talking about users and abusers here. So if you're not fully protecting yourself from a user and an abuser, they're predators, you guys. Like the worst case of this are people losing their lives. Is that serious? Is that serious? Number 10, you guys, not understanding your needs versus your wants. Okay. And then getting real with yourself. Like, are you wanting things that are toxic for you? Like, what did you really need? Like, did you really just need to take a moment to yourself? Did you really just need to focus on yourself for the time being? Did you really just need to, get centered on your goals, or get some counseling, or do some shadow work on yourself? Like, what did you really need? And then what did you run off of? The good thing is with maturity, you start to want what you need. That's how you know you're getting more and more mature, or your emotional maturity and self-awareness. You're just getting elevated to your higher self, or you're operating out of your higher self. It won't be what are your needs versus your wants. It's like, well, I just want what I need. It kind of like works together. That's how you know that, you're onto something good at that point. But if you're not doing number 11, which is, the issues of not being grounded within yourself. And this happens when we're just too invested in other people. Like, you're just giving so much to others, and you should be giving the most to yourself. You really should. And that might sound a little bit backwards to someone who's taught to people please, taught to not make themselves a priority and whatnot. You're taught to put others first. And then I had to say, for women as natural nurturers, we're taught to take care of everyone. And no one really talks to us about taking care of ourselves. But I tell you, when you're not taking care of yourself, you don't have the best type of energy to put out into the world anyway. If you're not getting your proper sleep, if you're not, fueling yourself and eating right and staying hydrated, you're making everybody else annual appointments make yours too. Like, you go get your pedicure, you have your spa time, do things to make you happy. Like, listen to your body, like spoil you too. Spoil you too. But when you're not grounded in yourself, because abusers and users, they want everything to be about them. They don't want you to have feelings. And this is why, I think a couple of weeks ago, I revisited my video about having a baby with a narcissist. And I was like, the narcissist is not going to think you just had a baby. You need time to heal and rest, and let's cook her some meals, or let's take this off her hand, or she's focusing on the baby. It's not going to be that. They're going to expect you to try to maintain the same supply that you were giving them before you had the baby, while still trying to heal your uterus. And we all know how that is for who had children. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's extremely selfish and self-serving. And it's really sad, for all the women who have had to go through that, including myself. But when you're not grounded in yourself, you'll stay in that situation, or you'll allow yourself to be drawn into everybody else's messes. And guess what? It takes you that much longer to reach your goals. They're draining your resources. You're diverting off of your plan. You're allowing yourself to be diverted off your plan to go help this one and that one. Well, and then you made a goal to do this. You're not reaching your goals as quickly. No. Your no game has to step up now, hon. And especially for this year, 2022, this is a great, wonderful year, you guys, to be manifesting. And it's a great, great time to be putting into yourself, because 222 is 6, and that's a pregnant woman that's ready to give birth. So you guys can give birth to some wonderful things that you have been sowing seeds on if you stay focused and diligent. You have to have that no game. You have to be grounded within self. And you're not obligated to be taking on the world and everybody's problems, because I know most of the people on my channel, you guys are wonderful people, type A's, you're, over accomplishers, you're doing this and that. And then when you're like that, people, they want a piece of that energy, and they want you to come rescue them too, and this and that. And sometimes it just has to be about you. It doesn't mean that you don't have times where you can give to others, but you have to really think about what's best for you and be very unapologetic about it. Okay. There's been enough of these abusers and users knocking people, distractions, they're just distractions. They're distracting you from your true purpose. Okay. And it doesn't mean you can't get there, but we talked about in the beginning about how time is something that you just can't get back, you guys. So be very selfish about that. And that's another thing, the word selfish. Oh boy, it's a negative word. No, it's not. Not always. It is not. Okay. It is not always. Sometimes you need it. It's self-preservation. You have to have that. And then you're around these type of energies, users and abusers. First of all, get away from them. But in the meanwhile, you just got to you have to preserve yourself around those type of people. Okay. All right. All right. So let's continue here to number 12. Just being too negative. That's the next thing. And, there's psychological reasons behind that as well. A lot of times when you've been in these type of situations, you base your future off of your past. All right. And you want to be able to believe better, but you can't see it. And if you can't see it, you probably wouldn't even recognize it if it presented itself to you and it's unfamiliar. So, sounds like Jada came at the twins. Hold on, you guys, for 1 second. All right. Kids are so they are so emotionally immature too. For isn't as mature as my twins are, they're still babies. They are still absolutely babies. But yeah, you don't want to be too negative, basing your future off of your past. Honestly, anybody who's successful could tell you a year from now you could be unrecognizable. A day from now you could be unrecognizable. It's just all about you having a shift and renewing your mind, claiming it and moving forward. It can seem really hard when you have these psychological blocks going on, but they can be unclogged, they can be lifted. That's the good thing. Because it's unfamiliar. It's like people get respected, people get reciprocated. There are people who are actually happy most of the days. Yeah. You have to be able to see your options. So when you're being too negative, you might not, chances are you're not going to see all the options, or you just might only see the negative ones on top of that. So that's important as well. All right. Not being too negative. And those are the people who stay with the users, because why not? If you think you can't get any better, or this is just my life, I'm doomed to this. And it's just accepting it, making it this fated thing. And no, it's actually not. But you're conditioning yourself because you're basing your future on your past. Okay. So, number 13, you guys, allowing others to treat you as an option. Letting people breadcrumb you. That is definitely why some women attract users and stay with them. They take these breadcrumbs. And when you do that, you become prime energy for a narcissist, because when someone can treat you as an option, they can objectify you at that point, right? They can objectify you. All right. So number 14, you guys, taking people at their worst. Oh, that's a big one. This is a big one, you guys. Taking people at their worst. versus their best. Like, you have to make a shift from, I'll work with you, taking in strays, taking on projects, and to, I want to get people who are polished. I want to get people who are in a ready energy. Like, look, I need enough energy for myself. Okay. So, number 14, women who attract users and stay in these abuse situations, they're in an energy of accepting and taking people at their worst. All right, we got to do the complete opposite of that and challenge anybody that wants to get a piece of your time, a piece of your energy to, be presentable. Get presentable. If you're going to step to me, you've done the work on yourself, you've healed yourself, you got it going on, whatever. Come be decent when you come before me. Don't come to me with that BS. Don't bring this to my table. Like, people are coming to you right off the rip. And that's the toxic empath that doesn't, that want to rescue people. It's this urge to rescue and take care of and be a CNA and or RN. And oh my gosh. So yeah. And this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, as far as taking people at their worst. Your strength, the strength that you're giving these people, they end up coming back and biting you. And you're basically fueling your abuser. And I know earlier in the chat, I said I would be mentioning this again. It's like they become a vicious dog that is going to attack you at some point. Yeah. And that sucks. That sucks, you guys. So number 16, being okay with or trying to win and fight against other people's egos. And when we're talking about abusive users, their ego is like the most important thing to them. To toxic people or narcissists, that's all they might have, or their most valued possession. That's why they have to have a mask. That's why they need the admiration. That's why image is all important and this and that. When you're trying to go against that person's ego, you're trying to win and fight against it, is going to be a draining thing, because that's the one thing that they are very invested in protecting right there. And you have to know that in your emotional maturity. Number 17, this is a big one, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way when I mention this, but toxic religious factors. And I'm not saying that religion is toxic, but toxic religious factors and brainwashing will allow women to stay with abusers and users. You know why? I'm going to tell you why right now. Because certain kinds of religions may make you feel like you're not allowed to give up on people. Or maybe you've convinced yourself in a toxic manner that being of a certain religion does not allow you to give up on people. We have to turn the cheeks. We have to forgive people 1,000,000 times, because there's a connection between giving up on people and, for some strange reason, giving up on God. Like, I give up on this toxic person that's beating my behind and doing the most to me, disrespecting me. I'm going to have to give up on this energy. This is not good. That's not you giving up on God. It's not God's will for your life to suffer. He wants you to be, if anything, he says he wants you to be with people that loves you as I do. That's what he says. And that's why you go to him and ask him, should I be with this person? Or you ask Spirit, God, to reveal to you who should be in your life and who shouldn't. But toxic religious factors, that may have a woman or a man be afraid to get a divorce, if you will. Like, it's like this person is trying to kill you, but you're afraid to get a divorce. So toxic religious factors are definitely a reason why some women will stay with abusers and users. And it looks like I'm down to my last thing, and I will be going into the chat after this. But this is a big one. This is a big one right here. And this is being loyal to a fault. Thinking that you owe somebody. A lot of times, tenure tends to matter with people. Like, you've known this person since you were a child, or you've been in this relationship for so many years. And you think you have to take people along the ride for you, even if they're not renewing their mind. Hold on, let me see how much energy. I thought I plugged this laptop up. Let me just plug this up real quick. I don't want it to shut off. I thought I plugged this up. I didn't. I have so many plugs over here. Okay. There we are. Back in business. But yeah, being loyal to a fault. But I want to be a little bit more specific, because you should be loyal to a fault to yourself. Yeah, there are things that you should be loyal to a fault to, but I mean being loyal to a fault to these abusers and users. Being loyal to the dysfunction, if you will, because if we just see angles, of course we can be loyal to all types of things. All right. And the thing is, once you renew your mind and you level up, you don't want to do like a house cleaning of me. I have to charge it when I get off. You have to wait a minute. You're going to want to clean house and not take certain things with you. You're better than that. Like, okay, yeah, I did have a situation where I was in domestic violence, or I experienced this, but I know I'm better than that now. I have self-love now. And the thing is about these abusers and users, you just can't level them up, because they're very committed to staying exactly where they are. And that's why they just have to continue to go on and find other people who may have needed to learn similar lessons that you did. And they'll start cycles with them once you're releasing them back to the wilderness. And here's the thing, and this is just so loving, but just so backwards at the same time. Here's the thing. You might be in a situation where this person has just done everything to come against you, and yet and still, you're still progressing in life. You're still uplifting. You're graduating. God is promoting you because you are covered and protected. So here you are, self-made. You built yourself. You built yourself. And you're at this point, you're supposed to be loyal to your mission, not loyal to that man that will use man in quotes, that person that was abusing you. Okay. But you feel like when you get gifted something, you're supposed to be sharing it with them. And that's why a lot of times you won't get your true, you'll get promoted and get some gifts, but you'll get your big gift after you release that burden out of your life, after you release that abusive person, because, God doesn't want to share that with them. He doesn't want to share it with them. So here you are, self-made. It's not your job to level up this bum abuser. You know what I mean? Let them go do the work and not try to manipulate people to ride your coattail or come along for the ride. No, you go do the work, build yourself. If anything, they don't deserve anything from you after how they came against you and tried to make this a harder process to begin with. Because you could think like, man, I would have got here X amount of time ago if I wasn't messing with this person, or if I hadn't brought them into my life. Like, they've caused you all these setbacks, and now you think you owe them once you're leveling up. You don't. And if anything, you're not supposed to bring them along for the ride. And you are delaying some other blessings by doing so. So it has to be a complete shift, you guys, and you can't be loyal to a fault to, these things that are just bringing you down anyway. Okay. Don't feel bad about it. People, they make their beds. You tried to help them, and they showed you over and over who they were, and it is what it is, but you don't have to suffer anymore for it. So that's a choice that you have to make, and be unapologetic, be your best friend where no one else might have been your friend at all. And especially that abuser and that user. So I really hope that was the 18 things, you guys. I don't know if you want me to summarize this or not. Like, just go through each 18 again. I don't think I have to. But I'm going to go on here and see if there's any questions that you guys have, period. What's going on in your life, any situations. you want some advice about, I'll hang around for a couple of minutes, you guys. But, this is important because I don't want any of you to have the wrong mentalities that are, putting you in these new cycles or keeping you in old cycles, Let's see what's going on over here in the chat. Oh, yeah. Someone was saying how a few minutes ago we were talking about the narcissist and the baby, and someone wanted this person to go shopping like a week after they gave birth. Yeah. So Vera Faye says, for a very long time, I believed that I could and should stretch myself to accommodate the needs of the narcissist. When I started to hear about narcs draining my energy, I didn't think it was possible. Oh, it very much is. It very much is. It very much is. You might even feel like the longer you're away from them, the better you start looking, the more rejuvenated you just start feeling energetically, let alone not having the harsh demands and, selfish, self-serving, never full, never enough, never satisfied, right? Yeah, who needs that? Who needs it, you guys? Any other questions, you guys, before I wrap up this live chat? And again, I do still offer private coaching. My website is lakiacrawford.com. Oh, hey, Stay Hungry. Nice to see you. Oh, this Maya says, just had a baby with a narcissist. The most disrespect I ever felt. Yeah. Hasn't helped at all. Now I'm going to have to take him to court. Well, that's good. At least you're making it very black and white, which is very good to do in these situations. But congratulations on your baby, hon. I have a lot of really good content on this channel, Maya, that would help you out. If you put like having a baby with a narcissist, reflecting and progression, the videos will just pop up. The name of the channel. Yeah. It's crazy. You're basically, what more special thing can you do than to extend someone's bloodline in their tree? You gave life. What more what higher your body, like you gave everything that you could in that situation. Like, it's incredibly disrespectful to me when guys mistreat women who are carrying their babies. Like, but I'm glad that you're out of that situation, because I hear so many horrible situations of pregnant women getting harmed. I know you got harmed psychologically, but physically harmed on top of that. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm so glad that you know better, though. And this is a good resource. You're going to be ahead of this person, and that's very important to do, because who knows what type of tricks this person could have up their sleeves moving forward. And the thing is, once you increase your emotional maturity, you'll see them from a mile away 9 times out of 10. Jay Harley says, I just escaped a narc, but I feel guilty for dealing with him, knowing I've seen some signs. No need of beating yourself up. And that's another learned behavior that a lot of people who are in these abusive situations, because the abuser is doing it to you as well, coming down hard, being overly critical to you, and maybe energetically you've had, an upbringing, who knows, like where you're just used to that. And nobody's perfect. That's the thing. There's no point in doing that. Like, you can rechannel your energy into something way more important than beating yourself up, for something that you can't change. It's the past. When B, you can focus on, hey, at least I got a clue now. And C, I'm out of it. Okay? You should be celebrating, thanking your maker. So focus on the positives. And we were talking about that. We were talking about the negative thought. All right? So be careful, because you don't want to have too many of these things going on and you're fresh out of it too. But you don't want to have too many of these things going on. It makes people susceptible to getting sucked back in. But you stay engulfed in, like, a community like this to help you stay strong and start filling those voids that you were filling with that person. You have to start finding other ways to fill those voids, which is, chances are, voids that you should be filling yourself anyway. So now it's time for you to, get fully reconnected with yourself. And sometimes it means getting to know yourself all over again. It's a great time to journal. It's a great time, to do a lot of writing and self-reflecting too. And it's a great time to make plans and goals. Like, what do I want? What makes me happy? And it's not all serious, work hard, start a business stuff, but, getting back in touch with your hobbies, the things that give you like a light heart, that make you light on your feet, But congratulations, Jay Harley. That's good. You escaped. That's right. Vera says, my narc wanted me to start reading her mind and doing without her asking. Right. Because they're lazy communicators. The less they have to do, the better. Yeah, they want it to be that simple, And they don't call them energy vampires for nothing. Like, it's really deep. It's really a spiritual thing that's going on when you're in these type of situations, you guys. And that's how empaths are able to absorb and feel other people's energies. And the more empathic you are, you actually may be able to kind of read that narcissist's mind without them asking, But here's the thing. When you're reading their mind and they're wanting you to fulfill all these roles and being all these things to them, that's the thing when you become this overworked horse, because it's never enough. It's never going to be enough. Trust me. Oh, great. Great, Maya. She says she found the channel when she was pregnant. That's good. Very good. So, okay, good. Good. Very good. Very good, you guys. So I think I'm going to be ending this live chat, you guys. I do have more content. Make sure that you guys have hit the bell, right? Because I hear a lot of people say that they don't get notified when I have uploads, which is kind of crappy. Zanilla has something to say here. Besides, they don't have to keep track of all the lies. Right? Great. Jay Harley says, thank you. My mom was a narc. I thought I'd heal, but dealing with him, I realized I have more work to do. Yeah, and that's okay. But definitely what I'll say to that is acknowledge your progressions, though, and in your improvements, because no one's perfect. And because it was an addiction, you might always have to be mindful. You might always be in a situation where I have to always be mindful that I'm not over giving in a situation, You might always have to be mindful because you know that you've had that issue. But mindfulness goes a long way as far as being intentional. Like, it's not things that are just happening like a leaf floating, like, no. I didn't reach this goal by just leaving it, throwing caution to the wind. No, I got very focused. I had a lot of self-awareness. I knew that I had this issue. I thought of ways how I could minimize it or guard it or eliminate it completely. I worked my way up to these points, So be very, very intentional. It's going to go a long way. And then just understanding the process. But I have almost, 1,000 videos here. I definitely have early breakup videos when you're just getting out of that situation. So there's a lot of content here to help you with that, Jay Harley. Again, congratulations. Hey, Tracy. Tracy is definitely one of my day ones. Love you, girlie. Vera says, goes full circle to the first description I ever had about my toxic relationship enmeshment. Yeah. 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 And, that it never works out because you have to be two whole individuals coming together, And yes, two can become one in a marriage, but you're still something outside of a husband and a wife, That's the whole thing. It can't just only be about that. So, yeah. All right, you guys. It was really wonderful coming on and spending time with you guys. I have missed you over the last few weeks. But I'm telling you, I really, really was exhausted after the twins' birthday, even though we had such a good time. And then, like I said, my work schedule is so crazy. YouTube, I do it as much as I can. I look forward to when I can, do so much more. But with that being said, I still have a lot of content that will be coming. I'm going to finish the Trauma Bond series, you guys, and I have a whole bunch of other videos to be uploading as well. I'll probably do them through live chats because it just helps on the editing type of way. But if you guys comment and say, hey, Lakia, I like your face-to-face videos more, let me know. I mean, I do a lot, with the live chats because it's just easier this way for me to get it out to you faster. But I want to make you guys happy as well. So if you feel like you connect better with me when you're seeing me on video, let me know. If these talks are still very good for you just as it is, let me know that too. I will be appreciating the feedback, and I do read my comments, all right? Awesome. Vera says, so glad to hear the cast, and it's a blessing. And that's it. I want to be a blessing, It's a part of what I have to do. And I'm obedient to it because I've had to learn a lot of hard lessons, you guys. And when I do, I always come back and I share it with you. Each one, teach one. You guys listen to this content, share the video. And not only just share the link itself, but just, talk to your children, teach them their emotional maturity, don't let it stop with you. And this is how we just, spread this information on a larger scale. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Never give up on yourself. Continue to do the work. And until next time, take care, you guys.